It's been 6 months since I built up this, my custom Giant TCR Advanced Pro with a SRAM Rival E-Tap AXA group set, NV45 carbon wheels, Pirelli tyres, a zip handlebar and stem, and a Physique 3D printed saddle. So this is my end of year report. I'll go through what I liked and disliked about the bike in my 6 months of ownership and riding the bike every single day. Well, nearly. So let's dive in. Let's start with the Frameset first, the Giant TCR Advanced Pro disc. And well, I've had no regrets in choosing this Frameset for my summer build at all. As many of you will know, back in 2020, I reviewed this bike as a Shimano Ultegra build when it first launched and was very, very impressed with it. You can see that review linked up above in case you want to see it. So choosing this Frameset was a natural choice. There were a few other contenders I had in mind, like Specialized Tarmac SL7, but really the TCR offers the perfect blend of everything I look for in this type of road racing bike. So it's a pretty lightweight Frameset. It doesn't cost an absolute fortune. The comfort is good, the stiffness is good, and there's space for wide tyres as well. And I can live with the external cable routing as we have here. Internal cable routing is nice, it does look good, but using the SRAM Rival group set definitely cuts down on the number of wires and gets around the one bugbear I had with the bike I reviewed with a mechanical group set of a 2 gear cable sprouting from a down tube up to handlebar. No sprouted cables here, just 2 brake hoses there. I love the fact this bike offers you that low weight and high stiffness, a bit of aero with the new down tube, head tube, fork and a seat post, but doesn't trade in comfort at all. There's space for up to 32mm wide tyres, but I've been running it mostly with 28, and the comfort from the bike is almost on a par with many endurance bikes from a few years ago. So that means you can do a long ride on this of 200 kilometers or more and not be beaten up at the end of a ride. Yet you can throw it around a 1 hour crit race with no issues at all. And then there's the amazing paint job, which admittedly is really difficult to show on film. But we have a chameleon fade of green and purple and different colours depending on how the light hits it and how you look at it and what angle you look at the bike from. And then really simple logos, black logos on a down tube, top tube. So for me, I think one of the best looking Giant bikes ever produced, and it's on a par with many more fashionable bikes, shall we say. Which is saying something because Giant haven't always been a cutting edge fashionable bike brand, but this is definitely a step in the right direction. I was lucky enough to get a brand new SRAM Rival E-Tap AXA group set when it launched, and I went straight onto the bike. And it was an easy build, as you saw in my build video of this frame set, and it's been faultless ever since. It's been a perfectly flawless group set with all the functionality and performance and customization of red and force above it. And really the only downside is the weight is quite high, but weight isn't really everything, and the weight of the bike hasn't been an issue during my time riding it, even on hillier rides here in the Cotswolds. One of the benefits I've really come to appreciate on a group set is the gearing choice. There's loads of options in the SRAM range, including the new Explore off-road setup. But here I have a 10-36 cassette on the back and a 46-33 chainset on the front, which I know sounds tiny by conventional standards, but what it means here in the Cotswolds, for the riding I do, I have a bigger range of gears and much lower gears when I'm grinding up bigger, steeper climbs. And for normal cyclists with normal levels of fitness, I think the group set is a step in the right direction. I recently got back onto a race bike with a 52, 36, 11, 28 setup and found myself struggling on some of the steeper climbs, so used to the bigger gears on the bike I have become. So the gearing really works for me. And it's also an easy group set to live with, removable batteries, and I love the way you can customize it through the app. And also through the app, you can also see how you use a group set, what gears you use more often, and that's great for tuning the group set to suit your requirements, going up or down to a bigger or smaller cassette or chain set as you see fit. The brakes are also wonderful as well, really powerful, and these, hand on heart, give no noise in the rain or dry. And I like the smaller hoods over red and force. I actually prefer them, much smaller, more ergonomic, and the brake levers feel fantastic as well. So apart from the weight, it's a really solid choice in the group set market. I've always really liked NV wheels and have been fortunate over the years to ride quite a few sets on different bikes, but the prices have been very, very high. So when they launched brand new foundation wheels at a much lower price point compared to their expensive wheels, I'm really keen to test them and find out if they offer good performance for the money. And after 6 months of use, I can really vouch for their performance. In fact, they're so good, it's harder to justify the extra expense of the top end NV wheels unless you really must have every marginal gain. So their tubeless radial wheel set and installation of the Pirelli tyres was a breeze using a normal track pump. They look good, nice understated simple logos. We've got their own hubs with reliable internals, no issues with the bearing life on these, they're still running nice and smooth, and a free hub engages very quickly as well. The spoke nipples are internal, but I've had no issues with spoke tension. They've not gone out of true or need adjustment, so that's a good thing. And we have the same moulded spoke holes as you get on the top end wheels. And these, like the top end wheels, are made in the US, which will be a deciding factor for many people buying wheels, unless price is your ultimate focus. They also do a deeper 65 wheel set option if you want even more aero, but the lower weight and the crosswind stability is a deciding factor in going for the shallower 45 wheel set. 2021 has been an excellent year for tubeless tyres with lots and lots of choice of very good tyres, all designed to the latest ETRTO standards, which in a nutshell means installing them on hookless rims, which these MVs are, is really, really easy. And these brand new Pirelli P0 TLR SL tyres are one of my favourites, easily up there with the best of the best. Firstly, we have a fantastic ride quality and road feel, nice and supple on rough tarmac, adding to a smooth ride this bike offers. And then rolling resistance, in my experience and my testing, is very low. There's very little in it between these and the Vittorias, Michelins, Goodyears, or the new Conti GP5000s. And then durability of the tyres has been very good. I've not had a single puncture in 6 months of riding, which is just incredible. And the wear rate, as I can see from the grooves in the tyre, is very good. Still loads of life in these after 6 months of regular riding. And there's no cuts to the tyre at all, so very good integrity, just a really good choice. Fast, supple, and easy to live with. The contact points are the last but most important part of the bike, so the saddle and the handlebars mainly. And here I've been able to really go for the perfect setup that has worked really well for me over the past 6 months. And on the many test bikes I have been reviewing over the past year, the saddle choice and the handlebar, the shape, stem length, and the bar tape is usually something of a compromise and something I would change if buying that bike. But here, I think I had the perfect setup. So we have an admittedly very expensive saddle, but I'm absolutely blown away with the comfort from the Physique adaptive 3D printed saddle. It's like a cushiony, marshmallowy, foam-filled mattress of just supreme comfort. And on the longest rides I've done, the comfort of this saddle is just first class. So lots of cushioning from a 3D lattice construction, also lots of flex in the base, but also really good support as well. The way the lattice flexes in different areas means you get support where you need it and comfort where you want it as well. So a really good saddle. Now normally I prefer a short nosed, stubby nose saddle, but the length of the saddle has actually been fine. A bit more length on the nose when you're on a climb to pull forward onto, and lots of support at the base from that slight flare up. And for me, over 6 months of riding, I've had no reliability issues at all. I know some people have had issues with the lattice integrity, but here it still looks as good as new. And cleaning it, which is a regular occurrence at the time of year as the roads are covered in mud, is fine. Use a hose pipe and all the mud just washes away. And then up front, I've gone for a fairly conventional handlebar and stem. Now firstly, the one drawback with the TCR Frameset is the overdrive 2, so a larger diameter stereo tube, 1 1/4 inch, so not 1 1/8, which means stem choice is limited. The company makes their own very smart stem, but I was keen to try something else, and Zip is one of the few companies that does make one. This is their Service Course SL, 110mm long, and that's the right length for me to get the fit I need. So a nice, smart looking stem, and it makes sense to match the stem to the handlebar. And here I have a Service Course SL70 handlebar, so an aluminium handlebar which keeps in with the sort of cost focus of this bike of not being a super expensive super bike. So nice round handlebar, which personally I prefer over an aero shaped handlebar. When I'm climbing, I like the shape of a round handlebar in my hands. That sounds a bit wrong, doesn't it? But hopefully you know what I mean. And then fairly short reach drops, short reach to the hood. So nice handlebar and stem setup. And then lastly, some Supercast bar tape. Now again with bar tape, I'm really fussy. I often ride without gloves in the summer, even the winter when it's not super cold. But I like a thin bar tape because I like maximum feel, but I want as much cushioning as I can get, and also a grippy bar tape as well. So quite a tricky set of demands, but this Supercast ticks all those boxes. Nice and grippy, nice tactile feel, just a bit of cushioning down the drops, but not too fat. And as you can see, it still looks in good condition, so the reliability of it is good. A bit of wear just around the corner there, but it still looks brand new. And the last detail on this bar tape, which some other companies do offer, is a screw-in bar-in plug rather than a press fit one that just pop out after time. So it still looks tidy as well. And then up front, I have my Wahoo Element Bolt computer to give me the readout of power and other metrics I need when riding. The very last detail, because details matter, is the water bottle cage of choice. Now, there's probably hundreds, even thousands of water bottles on the market, and lots are bad. This is a new silker one. It's actually a titanium one, but now in an optional black painted finish. It's a simple, traditional looking cage. You can bend it for more bottle retention. And while some might say it looks a bit old school, a bit classic, I think it looks really good. A nod to the old days of cycling when bikes were much simpler. And bottles go in, they stay in, and they come out nice and easy. So a nice, smart looking bottle cage. For me, a black bottle cage on this frame is a requirement. A natural titanium colour would look out of place on this bike, I think. So for me, that's a fine detail. And if you're wondering what pedals I use, well, that depends on what shoes I'm using. I go from Wahoo Speed Plays to Fefero's Asimo Duo dual-sided power meter pedals to these Look pedals. And I also have some Shimano SPD SL as well. So I do flip-flop from pedals pretty much every day of the week, really. Hopefully you enjoyed my tour of my custom Giant TCR and what I liked about the bike over the last 6 months of riding it. And if you want to see my roundup of the best bikes of 2021 that I've actually reviewed here on Just Ride Bikes, then check on this video right up here. And don't forget to subscribe as well by hitting this button down here. Right, that's all I've got time for today. I'll see you all in 2022. Thank you so much for watching.